Goosebumps are made of. And speaking of noble men...
Oh, what a segue. You took it from me.
Todd Pyro?
No, that definitely wasn't it. Dan Bongino is the aforementioned gentleman we're referring to, former NYPD officer, former Secret Service agent, and host of the aforementioned, appropriately named Dan Bongino Show. Dan, thanks so much for being with us today.
Morning, Dan.
Hey, you got it. That's crazy, right? How they found a guy named Dan Bongino to host the Dan Bongino Show.
It's amazing how that works. So I'd love your thoughts on something that came out yesterday. So you know Adam Schiff, he is the top Democrat in the House Intel Committee, and he doesn't want this Russia probe to end. Dan, you know this. So he has some advice on how to keep it running. He tells the voters, he says, vote out the bums. And the bums he's referring to are Republicans in Congress. Here's what he said yesterday.
Well, the broad question is, how do you counter a president who repeats falsehood after falsehood after falsehood, that has the bully pulpit of the presidency to do it, and has allies in Congress who are willing to support that? And Martha, at the end of the day, there's only one remedy for that, and that is you need to throw the bums out. As long as there's a majority in Congress that is willing to do this president's will, and as long as we have a deeply unethical president, there's only one remedy, and that is to change the Congress. And to let the investigation go on. And that's what we need to try to fight to do.
Right, so you have Nunes, Gowdy, the list goes on, with serious questions to the FBI about how things have been handled. He says they're just a bunch of bums, Dan.
So I'm trying to grasp the logic train he's using here. He's saying that you should throw the bums out because they're dishonest. But this guy's the champion of dishonesty. He's one of the bums. I don't know what he's talking about. Do you understand he's lied to the American people for over a year now about the existence of evidence in a Russian collusion investigation of collusion that doesn't exist? He cannot admit and cannot give up the fact that none of this happened. Now the dance is about the euphemisms and the spy versus an informant. I'm telling you, this is all nonsense. The Democrats cannot give this up. This is all they have. They've defined themselves by Russian collusion that did not exist.
Dan, they may be finding themselves with a tough question. The president tweeting yesterday saying, during all this, where was President Obama? What do you say?
Yeah. You know, I've been itching to get this out there. Let me explain to you from an insider's perspective, from someone who's worked in law enforcement. I've had interactions with intelligence often, and these types of things. The reason they're dancing around this spy versus informant narrative is precisely because of what you just asked, Griff. The role of Obama. Let me explain this to you quickly. Spy would mean it was someone from the outside inserted or designed to interact with a campaign to get information, meaning someone told them to do it. An informant would have been someone inside the operation that saw something negative and wanted to come out and speak about it. That's why they're not using the word spy, precisely because it implicates Obama, who put him from the outside into the Trump campaign.
No, I'm so glad you clarified that. And you're obviously former Secret Service, so you understand the difference between those terms. But the fact that the Trump campaign is like, we didn't even know this was going on, is the reason, to your point, exactly why they are calling it a spy.
And Dan, speaking of Obama, dozens of former Obama officials are running for office. Obviously, they're not running for the presidency in 2018 because we have to wait to 2020. But 64 former staffers are running for office across the nation, obviously lesser races. What do you make of this? You think they have a chance?
Maybe. I mean, there's so much anti-Trump nonsense out there going on. They may have a chance, but what are they running on? I don't understand. Is there some kind of a mass movement to go back to the Obama era? Hey, let's get back to 1% GDP growth. Let's go back to, $1,000 a month premium hikes on Obamacare. Even better, let's get back to weaponizing the IRS to target conservatives. Hey, I got one for you. Let's go back to the days where we spy on our political opposition and use euphemisms like, undocumented FBI employees to spy on people. I mean, I don't see any mass movement to go back to the dreadful Obama days. This is not, they may win just based on anti-Trump stuff, but it definitely won't be on anybody's record.
So Dan, quickly review, you are not voting for any of those individuals.
That's a great, you know what, that was, you must be Karnak from the Johnny Carson show.
I feel pretty confident in that. Dan Bongino, thank you so much for being here with us.
Have a good Memorial Day with your family. Good to see you this morning.
Thanks,
all right,
guys,
a lot going on that we want to go over to Jillian for. Some other headlines we're following. Hey, Jillian.
That's right. Good morning to you guys, to you at home as well. Let's take you to this video right now that you have to see. It's really wild video. A man is pulled over for reckless driving, crashing into a police car, then speeding off in reverse, all as he's questioned by cops. The man spinning in circles, slamming into several cars. This was in New York City. His front bumper coming off. He was arrested after hitting another car and hurting the driver. 3 police officers are also injured. Wow, that is violent. A flying lesson ends in a crash landing on a crowded freeway. The flight instructor taking control and touching down in Utah when the plane lost power in the air. Officials say it flew under an overpass before crashing into a packed car on the interstate. The teenage student pilot was practicing takeoffs